It's turning, but I might kill myself. Before we get started on the video, I just want to do a special shout out, local small business that definitely supported the project. And this isn't any kind of paid promotion. They didn't give me the parts for free, but Pontiac is the only company I could find that would do the crimping on these AC lines that Vintage Air sent me. So in the whole mix up of things, I ended up with some sort of custom hose kit that I guess that's what they send when you have an Oldsmobile 403 in a Pontiac, even though the Pontiac put them in those cars. But okay, let's not talk about that. But man, small diameter AC lines, no one crimps them anymore at shops. So they're all the large industrial AC lines. That's not what comes in this kit. So unless you want to pay $600, $700 for the correct tool, man, you're going to have a hard time finding a company to do it. And I just want to shout out Pontiac because they did it and they looked at the specs, said they could handle it. And guess what? It's holding pressure. It's not leaking. They did a great job. So shout out to them. And if you're like me and like supporting small business, man, just go ahead and punch that like button right now on the video. And then we'll get started and you guys can see how this system gets installed in the old Firebird. Make sure you do it on full blast. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Full Blast Garage. And this time we're gonna go ahead, do the Vintage Air AC install in the old Transient Am. I mean, you're driving an old beater all the way to Tucson, you might as well do it with the AC on full blast. And before we dive on in to the install, I just want to give a couple shout outs to Vintage Air and Speedway Motors. Man, if you're looking at buying one of these Vintage Air systems, Speedway Motors is hundreds of dollars cheaper than everyone. And even Vintage Air's website, go there, then go to Speedway. It's cheaper. I don't know how this math works, but it's magical. And I did have a little issue. This car has an Oldsmobile 403. So it's kind of a weird thing where, you know, Pontiac put Oldsmobile engines in the cars, and during the ordering process, I got brackets for like a Pontiac 400. Called Speedway, talked to Krista there, shout out to her team. She did a great job. And then I spoke with a guy named Josh at Vintage Air. They work together between the two companies, and man, between the two of them, part was sent out in a few days. It was a hose kit you need to switch and the brackets. I mean, okay, we had a little snafu at first, but man, you're talking about customer service. I spoke to a person, both places, people returned my calls, people returned my emails, and everything was fixed. So man, shout out to both companies. You know, but we're gonna put the Vintage Air to the test, I guarantee you, because this is Texas and it's still real hot. So this dang thing, it better blow cold for how much you're paying for it. And also just another short housekeeping. Man, if you like the content that we're putting out on Full Blast, please push the like button. It does a lot for small channels like ours with the algorithms and the equations and things like that I don't understand. So go ahead and help us out. But man, let's go ahead, jump on into this install. So when you buy these kits, it's going to come with a whole lot of documentation, which most of the time we just throw away. But in this case, no, we want to hang on to it. There's, you know, a large manual that kind of does the entire kit, but there's individual component manuals, if you guys can see that. So this is specific instructions just to install the condenser and dryer. Again, you want to hold on to all of this stuff. So I got the condenser here. I'm going to go through, kind of look at the high points here, see what I need to do, and I'll kind of spell them out to you on camera once I got this thing kind of placed where it needs to go. And if you guys haven't watched the other videos, everything's already been torn out of the car. It's got, you know, no radiator, no existing AC components. Everything's been removed. We're starting clean slate. So if you're doing this kit, just go ahead and do that before it ever even shows up to your doorstep. Just pull everything out, down to the studs. So I'm gonna go ahead, look through this real quick, see if I can figure out how this thing goes. I'm guessing since the compressor's passenger side, these ports probably face that way. So that's a good guess, but who knows? I could be wrong on that. But I'll go ahead, you know, just look through this a little bit, and then I'll show y'all what's going on. All right, so first thing here, they want us to grab our dryer and the bracket that holds it to the condenser. You're gonna have to fold this clamp kind of around to the stud here. You kind of want to make sure you're eyeballing the heights correctly. And honestly, I would get this started and not smoke it down. Wait till you're installing your lines that go from the dryer to the condenser. So you kind of have a little bit of wiggle room there on this thing. Don't smoke it down, because these are hard lines that you're gonna be putting on. And with those hard lines, there's no give. So just keep that in mind. And this is 7/16. You guys are wondering. So we'll see if the hardware bounces back and forth between metric and standard. But here you go. Step one of like infinity. You got your dryer attached to the bracket. And the bracket here has two studs that we're gonna mount like so. Here's your condenser. Bang. Lines right up. Mount it there. So that would be the next step. I don't need to show you guys that. Just go ahead and mount your bracket assembly to your condenser, and that's your next step. Okay, so your next step after you got your bracket fit up to your condenser, and you want to make sure this condenser is oriented where you have a small fitting on the bottom and there's a large fitting on top. Kind of figuring these things out as I'm looking through the instructions. And then you got your dryer mounted right here. Everything's loose. Bracket's wobbly. The dryer you can take, move up and down. Then you're gonna want to take this hard line, and this is for the number 6 fittings, and there are number 6 O-rings. So what you're gonna do is take these blue caps off, slide your O-ring on, lubricate it, and then one threads into the top here of this dryer, the other end threads into the bottom of the condenser. And that's this line right here. And these are it's super clear in the instructions which one you need. So go ahead and grab that one, install your O-rings and tighten them down. And they give you torque specs, but I don't know anybody that's got a torque wrench that would work on something like this. So I'd say don't go crazy on it and just snug it up. Don't break it. They're expensive. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this, and we'll move on to the next step. Man, we're chugging through. Well, we got a train going by, but I think you guys can hear me. So this is why you watch these install videos, guys. So I veered off a little bit from what Vintage Air said. So they want you to, you know, put the dryer in the bracket, attach the bracket to the condenser, then install the hard line here. So I'm really weird about these hard lines, AC lines. I want this thing to just screw in so easy, hand tight. With this thing mounted in the bracket, I couldn't really achieve that. All you gotta do, loosen this bolt from the bracket, bend this thing back out. Then your dryer is just kind of loose. You can move it however you want. Immediately when I did that, then, you know, top line I can screw in by hand, bottom line I can screw in by hand, and everything's perfect. So there you go. There's that line installed. Don't forget to lubricate your O-rings. All right, next step, after you got that line on, this bracket here is in the kit. And how I'm holding it, this is the driver's side bracket for the condenser. It'll have these two studs, two holes, and the one down here is slotted. Thank God, because mine radiator support's just been in all the crap. Somebody done Luke and Bo Duke the front of this thing. But what you're gonna want to do in here on your core support, this thing lines up perfectly with a bolt hole at top, bolt hole at bottom. You're gonna want to put your bolts through, tighten her down. That's it. You got your driver's side bracket installed. So go ahead, get that installed, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so now we're to a fun part. We got to kind of snake the condenser through the core support without damaging anything. So let's see how much room we got. Luckily, I mean, I got most of everything out of here. Oh, we're golden. Even with the fan clutch and everything, she just goes right home. And then you have, at least on the driver's side, you got those studs. You can kind of hang these guys on. What are we hitting over here? So it's like I need to go a little more driver, and I'm hitting something. And that's as low as she'll go. And I don't think I'm coming into contact yet with my... Now I got a lot of room between my transmission cooler and this condenser. It's like on the backside, this core support here slopes down and it's kind of coming into contact. I don't know if I need to remove that bracket. Kind of looks a little integral, or just slot it maybe. There's a bracket in the middle that it's sitting on that's kind of keeping the condenser up just a hair. And I don't see a way without notching that thing that you can get this condenser to sit all the way in. All right, well, let me look at the instructions a little more. Maybe they got a picture kind of telling me what to do. Well, so definitely do not tighten any of these bracketry things up. So I had enough room to work the bracket and the condenser at the same time to just go ahead and get everything tightened up, or not tightened up, just lined up. So go ahead, I'm gonna put some nuts over here on this bracket on the driver's side. It's already installed. So to hold it in place, and I'll see what I need to do on the passenger. I'm guessing it's gonna be the same thing. Just these 5/16 bolts that go through. I'm gonna go ahead and get just a nut on those so it won't go anywhere, and keep on keeping on. We're getting there. Step kind of 1. We're almost there. So after you got everything kind of loosely installed, don't tighten anything up yet. This guy here, this pipe, it's going to snake through the passenger side, the grommet hole where you put your rubber grommet. It says that in the instructions. You're going to feed this guy through. You need to put an O-ring on this side, number 6 O-ring, And then this screws on to the other side of your dryer. So earlier you installed your in, this is your out. So this goes in the other side. So I'm gonna go over there, snake that guy in, tighten her up, and just keep moving on. We're slowly checking it off the first book. We're getting there, folks. It'll be easy. All right, so after that, not a too bad install. All this has been pretty easy so far. So your next one is this larger hard line. It's gonna go on the passenger side top port of your condenser. And it's gonna run up alongside that other hard line you just installed. Make sure this side here is the side that's gonna be pointing towards your firewall. This side here is what actually installs on your condenser. So I'm gonna go ahead, O-ring this guy up, lube it, tighten her down. We'll move on. We're just chugging through this thing. All right, guys, I wanna show you guys the condenser in here. So this is where she's gonna live. And then there's that hard line I just installed right here. And you got another one that goes right here. And in the instructions, it says you might have to trim right in this area. In mine, you definitely will. There's not enough room right here for this line to go straight into this port. So have your grinder or whatever ready to go. I'm gonna just go ahead and clearance that right there. My cutoff wheel and pick back up, installing this line back on there. So take care of that real quick, and then we'll pick back up after that.
All right, had to dish the hat. It's getting hot. We'll be doing triple digits today in Texas. But the dryer that we've already installed all up in here now calls for a binary switch. So it's going to thread in the front of the dryer. It looks like there's either a bolt there or like a plastic, one of the things that's been on everything, plastic piece. I'm just going to grab it with a pair of channel locks, see what it does. There is an O-ring on this binary switch. I would lube it up. The same stuff you've been lubing all the other O-rings. We'll just go ahead and tighten it down on the front there. But now's the time. If you haven't done it, go ahead, go around all your brackets. Everything that's just been in there loose, tighten everything down. I think everything's half inch. And then those smaller ones are 3/8. So you got extensions and stuff. You can get up in there. You don't have to take the nose of this thing off. I've done everything with the nose on, these vents on. I mean, it's not too bad. You can kind of squeeze up in there. Went ahead and lifted this guy so I ain't got to bend over. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing threaded in, whatever it does, and move on to the next step. I think we're almost done with this first book. So that'll be the whole condenser installed. So we're getting there.
All right. Well, got that thing installed. I just use some old channel locks up there and just pulled about as tight as I was comfortable to pull. The only thing left, there's a little brace that we put on the inside. It says to go ahead and clamp the pipes with these guys. That's just a screw and a nut. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that, and that's it. That's the end of that book. And we get to move on to the compressor. That's gonna be fun. Hopefully we got the right bracket this time. I think we do. So we'll move on to that, and I think we got a pretty hard part done. I mean, I can't imagine anything else is too complicated. So at least not in incredibly tight spaces, because everything else is kind of wide open. So let's keep moving on. I'll get these clamps installed, and I'll grab the next book. Okay, moving along. Just gotta let you guys know I did go ahead, remove the fan clutch. Took all the belts off, because on this system, at least the way mine's set up, I have a 3-pulley or a 3-belt pulley on the water pump, 3-belt pulley on the crank. So the air compressor is gonna ride on that back pulley. So to get a belt on, all that other stuff had to come off anyways, at least the belts. so you can get back to the last belt. So I'm going to go ahead and just start looking through the directions here. It looks like when you got the compressor, you know, you got it cocked like here. You're going to take your bracket like so. I think it lines up just like that. So from what I can tell here, you have this fitting, the fittings here cocked off to the side. Ugh. And then bam, your 3 holes line up. There you go, that's your adjustment. So I'm gonna go ahead, just double check the instructions, make sure I got that right. And then there's some 3/8 bolts you gotta run through here and tighten down to attach this bracket to your compressor. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Move on to the next step. Okay guys, you got your bracket installed on your compressor. Your next step is these 3 holes. Let me show you. 1, 2, and then 3 over there. So those guys are what's gonna be your compressor bracket uses to hold itself up against the engine. And this thing installs just like this. So you're gonna line up the holes. It's a little bit close to this control arm over here, but you guys will see it. And then there's just some 3/8, 3/4 inch bolts. Hold her down. And just telling you, ooh, my light took a dive. You're gonna want your fuel lines all in order. Make sure this thing ain't sticking to anything. It's still gonna fall. All right, hood. So you gotta make sure your fuel lines are kind of dialed, because you're not gonna have a whole lot of access to them after this guy goes on. And it looks like in the future, to do any kind of service, you're gonna take this compressor bracket off. So just keep that in mind when you're installing this thing. Get your hoses dialed, at least your feed and your return. So I'm gonna go ahead, bolt this guy in, and I got a bunch of grounds that I also use this side of the head for. Bolt those in, get the grounds connected, and we'll keep moving on. Okay, so here we are, compressor mounted in the car, and this is your clutch wire. Just kind of keep that out of the way, and you can go ahead and don't tighten this thing down. Just put it in place, leave it loose. You're gonna need some wiggle room on this to tighten it later. And Vintage Air points this out a few times, so I think it's important. This little oil plug here, this guy needs to be shooting like straight up in the air. It needs to be at like a 90-degree angle from everything else. So you want this guy pointing up. You don't want your belt sagged out like that or way tight like that. You want it straight up and down. So it's gonna need a pretty accurate measurement on your belt length. And I'll give you guys mine once I'm done. But yeah, there she be. That's how it rides. The bracket here, it goes in front of the mount, and everything's good. I mean, you got a ton of space on the side here in this car. But again, valve cover servicing might be a little challenging in the future, but you know, hey, we're hot rodders. We work around this type of stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get this thing loosely bolted in, and that's it, man. We're gonna be probably getting close to done under the engine. I think we'll start moving inside pretty soon. So there you go. Just want to correct myself on this, guys. I was looking at the directions a little more. So your oil plug here, so what they're saying is shooting up at a 90-degree angle or do not exceed 90 degrees in either direction. So you can go this way and this way, but you don't want it folded over. So I don't think there's theoretically any way that we could move it inboard enough to where it's like, if you maxed out your belt tightness all the way up there, you're in the okay range with your plug right there. That was a weird diagram they showed me here. So this is what I'm talking about. And it's saying you're good straight up and you're good up to 90 degrees in either direction. So the oil plug could sit sideways and you're fine. But I had to relook over that. That was a little tricky to me. So just going to show you guys that and we'll move on. I got everything tightened up there. But man, just always take a closer look at your directions. And it's saying we need a 60-inch belt because we have a 3-groove crankshaft. So that'll at least be our starting point. And maybe I got one of those on the shelf. Who knows? But yeah, we're going to keep on moving. All right. Well, if you're following along with me, made it to page 7. That's 2 big steps that they just combined there at the bottom of that page. Hey, just go ahead and install the condenser, then do the compressor while you're at it. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so the next steps, not anything I'm going over because my car has already been stripped. That's what all this guy is. Going in and telling you to remove everything until you get to page 11. Firewall modification, firewall cover installation, and insulation. All right, so I'm going to read through this, kind of see exactly what we need to do on the firewall. Looks like we're going to have to break out a hammer, so that's always fun. But yeah, I'll find what parts we need, what we got to do. We'll pick back up. So on this next step, you're going to want to locate this part. This is your firewall cover. Covers up that whole big hole. I already went ahead and tapped it a little bit, got the channel locks on it, flattened it out. Then you got to get these 1/4-inch bolts. The 4 at the bottom are the shorter ones. There's 2 that are going to go in at the top. It just has you put in 1 right now. Use these little like push lock things to lock them in so they won't fall out when you're jacking with it. And you'll need to drill a little bit on your firewall just to open the holes up. Some of mine were real small. And then you'll need to drill. There's 2 holes here in the middle that I think don't line up with anything on the firewall. You got to drill those. So you got to also take that plastic cowl cover thing off on this car. It's right there, right by the wipers. And that's how you get access to the top 2 bolts to tighten those guys down. And I'm not looking forward to that. That thing's probably going to break into a million pieces. But let's go ahead and throw this guy on. And it's cut, for the hood hinge, for the exhaust. So there's not really, there's only one way it'll go in. And I got the part number facing out. It doesn't matter one way or the other. Just want to let people know that, hey, I got a vintage air kit. That's the part number for at least this part. But I'm going to throw this on and wrestle with it, I'm sure, and cuss because no one's out here to hold a backup wrench on me. But I might have to call in some reinforcements. Let's get this thing attached to the firewall. We're moving on to, I think we're hanging ducts next. Who knows? We're almost done. Here's the installed firewall cover panel. And guys, if you have an issue with these top 2 screws not making it all the way to the cowl, man, I had to take this off and on quite a few times, scrape stuff, kind of mash stuff in to where the bolt would be long enough to grab on the other side of this cowl vent. It wasn't going far enough in. I mean, technically, you could have put a nut on from inside the car if you reached way up in there and if you're able to get it started. But I went ahead and just kept working at it, cinched everything super tight, and I was able to get these two started. The rest of these guys, you just got to fiddle with them. Get them lined up in the holes, maybe open some holes, slot some holes, but they'll eventually all line up. It was a lot of tinkering. And then this is what you got on the inside when you're done. You know, you got the hole there, 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 and there. And I am going to work on a little side quest action right now because I still got some of the old insulation in here. I'm going to actually work on cleaning this up and getting some of my sound insulation material down before I continue any further. I want to get that stuff down and get the dash kind of put together and working in here. So I'm going to pause on the AC because really the next step is installing these defrost vents. And I want to have, you know, kind of the dash ready to go after I get these defrost vents in, slide that guy in, and that kind of guides, you know, the rest of the vents where all that stuff's going. So I'm going to move over onto sound deadening, cleaning up, getting this stuff, at least this front part here, kind of situated. The backs, it needs some work still. But yeah, we got a little bit of work we need to do in this area first before we continue. Here's a look. The sound deadening material I put on the floor and kind of up the firewall under the dash. Kind of need to do this step before you go any further because you're going to start putting the ducts in the dash for the defrost and everything else. And then you'll hang the evaporator core right here on the passenger side. So that's a good time to go ahead, take care of any of that if you're going to do it. And I did go ahead and pull passenger side inner fender well because I realized we need access to that hole. So got everything laid out still over here, and we're gonna need start working on the dash pretty soon too. So I went ahead, bought one of these fancy old glue on new dashes, and seems to fit amazingly well. I added one AC vent over there. I was missing that one. I do have the center vent to bolt in. Can do that later. But I glued this yesterday. Just kind of snugged it up in some spots. It looked like it was kind of moving around a little. Might need a little help getting tightened down. And just gonna let that sit till we need to use it. Let's go ahead, start working on our defrost ducts. All right, so after you locate your defrost ducts, you're gonna find where those mount under the dash here. And man, I recommend taking this dash out. If you're doing this, you're gonna have a whole lot of more wrestling than you would if you don't have this thing in here. And your old vents are held in with like a riveted push pin looking thing. So you're going to have to either pry that out, cut it out. I use some like sheet metal cutters, kind of wedged it up under it, pried it out, popped that push pin off. You're going to have two small screws, that black serrated looking bolts with a, I don't know, kind of like a washer head on it. 5/16 with a 3/8 backup nut. That's the wrench size that you're gonna need. But these just go up, line up perfectly with your hole, tighten them down, and then you'll have ducting that you need to cut. So all your ducting comes in like two different hoses. You have a small hose, large hose. The small hoses are just for the bottom vents that go kind of like blowing at your crotch on these cars. Sorry. There's no other better term for it, but the small hose, that's all you need those for. The larger hose does everything else. So you'll be pulling that hose tight, cutting it. So for the defrost vents, it's 24 inches. So pull it tight, measure it, cut it. And we're going to go ahead and hang these defrost vents, and I'll get the hoses zip tied on there, and we'll be rocking and rolling on to the next step. All right, so these are our two vents installed. Got the hose cut, 24 inches. So what I did, I used a Sawzall, and then on the little piece that's metal, the wiring that's kind of inside this thing, you can use wire cutters or sheet metal clippers or anything. I did notice in the directions it said that ties are included to hold these vents on. Unless I'm just missing something, I don't see them anywhere in my my packing of stuff. These are held on pretty tight, but man, I don't want to fiddle with it in the future. So I'm going to go ahead, just sling on a couple zip ties just for security purposes, and make me not have to worry about it. I don't want this thing coming off. If you ain't ever taken apart one of these dashes in these F-bodies, it's not real fun. All these tiny little push nut looking things that come up from under here, not fun to get off. But we'll go ahead and sling a couple of these guys on. Then I think we move on to some the passenger side ducting, but I'm gonna skip that, I think, for now. I'm gonna get everything that they want bolted in here before I put any of the dash in. I want maximum space. I mean, it's tight under here once everything's on, and I don't want to jack with it. So I think I'm gonna skip, because they want you to feed up into, I think, each side next with hose. But we're gonna go ahead and just move on to assembling everything under here. But I did want to get these guys mounted, because that is an important step that you couldn't do with the dash in.
I went ahead, since I have my dash out of the car, secured all the little ductings to the back of the stock vents, and cut the hoses to length, got all that just loosely hung on my dash outside the car. And they want you to put grommets in this thing, and this is going to be the fresh air duct cover that's in like the inner fender well, the passenger side. And if you're having issues, because there's one grommet that's like this size. There's 3 that are large. If you're having issues kind of lining up your orientation, there's these kind of grooves, these angle grooves that go down to a screw hole. One of them goes all the way up to the hole. One of them's way far away from the hole. So what you want to do is just line it up, your picture and your instructions. Make sure you're holding it at the same orientation as what's on the instructions, and that'll tell you that the large grommet with the small hole in it through the center of it, it has a 1/2-inch hole, goes here. And then the other 3 holes have the same size grommet, center hole, tiny grommet. So, and these will be in 2 different bags. So there'll be one bag, it's just all large grommets. Then there's another bag, it's got like a little fitting in it, and I don't know, some kind of, looks like it's got a threaded insert with a piece of rubber, and there's 2 grommets in that. So you'll find a small grommet in there, and I'm thinking that's the right one, because I don't see grommets in anything else. So fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, we'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrestle all these grommets in this thing. And then I think we got to move on to the kick panel next. So once I figure out what goes in there, we'll pick back up. But I'm going to work on getting this thing grommeted.
All right, well, we're chugging along. Got all the grommets installed in this guy. And this next piece, which is going to cover your fresh air hole on the inside of your car. I flipped ahead to the next page, and good Lord, we got to do some cutting. But this thing, we got to do some drilling. So got in the step bit, marked it off with duct tape. We got to do a 5/8 hole from the center of this hole down 1/2 inch or 1.5 inches. It needs a 5/8 hole. So, and I think that is for another small grommet. So it's probably whatever's going through this other guy in the small grommet is going to run through here. So I don't think, you know, you got to be exactly precise in it, because I think this is going to be wiring that's going in it, but you want it to be about right. So center, I'm marking this guy with my finger. I'm going to hold the bit on there. Just measure one more time. Oh yeah, we're definitely in the ballpark. Just go ahead and start running my step bit. If you guys don't use step bits, man, you gotta start. Super time saver. There we go. Now we got our 5/8 hole and our fresh air cover. And then we flip over to the next page. We got to do the same thing again. Let's install our grommets, but man, we have got to cut out a 3/8 area all the way around our fresh air duct on the inside, and then trim a little bit on the kick panel too. But that is not going to be fun. I mean, I guess I got a disc grind, or like a disc cutter, and I guess that's what I'll use, but it's going to be messy and get metal everywhere inside the car after I've cleaned it like 4 times already. But I'm going to go ahead and get the grommet installed, and then I'm going to, I don't know, maybe I'll use this kind of as a template to see how much I need to cut out. But yeah, we'll cut back to the inside of the car after I get all these grommets installed. All right, everybody. I was a little confused on the directions there. The cutting actually needs to occur on this guy. So it looks like they essentially want you to cut out around the old fresh air door, and this guy is gonna plop right in there. So whatever you do, like the screw holes do line up, so don't cut out further than those. But you're gonna need to get a saw, something in here that'll cut plastic, go all the way around. I got one of these flat blade things that I like to use. It's a little challenging doing circular parts, but you can kind of work it, and it's doable. But you're gonna need to trim that. And then it looks like this little piece here on the cover kind of angles up. Right here, this guy needs to come off. So I was a little confused. I was thinking you were going to have to do the cutting on the car, and I looked at that hole. I'm like, that hole's way big enough to accept this guy. So then I re-looked at it, and it is the trim, not the car. So that's what happens when you're getting fast, getting ahead of yourself. And also, I've been looking at direction sheets for like 2 days. So this is a multiple day process. I can't work on stuff for like 10 hours at a time. I have other things I got to do. But yeah, go ahead, trim this guy out so that panel will fit in there, and then we'll keep moving on. All right, so we've moved on to the giant box. That's scaring you guys. Nah, it should be fine. That just means we're kind of in the home stretch. So what they want you first to do is hook up the fittings for your heater core. And that's this guy right here. At least mine, it had all these wires just randomly rubber banded to it that you have no idea what they're for. But this is an O-ring fitting, and you'll need the number 10 O-rings, and they do give you sizing charts. Oh, this guy's already got an O-ring on it. Huh. See if the other one does. That's different. Yeah, they were both already O-ringed. I mean, part of the directions was telling you to put O-rings on it. So install upper and lower properly lubricated O-rings. So go ahead and put these back in the little baggie. If something blows out, we'll know what it is. It's these O-rings that came on it randomly. All right, well, if I can get these plastic caps threaded off, holy crap. All right, I'm gonna have to go get, well, I got channel locks right here. So I'd say for the most part, other than there being, you know, no zip ties to hold the vents down, at least for what I've found, the kit is great. So that fitting just spins on here. I ain't messing around with these plastic fittings on here. They don't want any kind of contamination. But we'll go ahead, lube these O-rings up. I'll get them started by hand, then I'll go grab a wrench and tighten everything down. You guys don't need to watch that, but at least want to see you guys to see me getting them started. And there's no specific one that these go to. They're both the same size. They're both going to have 5/8 heater hose output. So I'm going to go to the parts store too before any of this stuff gets actually hard mounted and have all my heater hose ran and ready to go. Just in case it's kind of tough and tight in there, I'm going to have all that already tightened down and ready to just shoot on through the firewall. Okay, so that one had a plastic plug. That other one, the plastic plug just came unthreaded. I was about to look and just make sure I didn't thread one in there. And go ahead and just make sure you're pressed in, lined up straight with these O-rings. And go ahead and get them started by hand. That's it. Go grab your wrench, tighten these guys down, use a backup, tighten your large nut down, you're good. And we'll move on to the next step. All right, well, we got the evaporator setting in the same configuration that comes with 3 little plastic plugs. These are going to cover up, I guess, some mounting locations that aren't used. So we'll go ahead, get those guys in. And it looks like next steps, we're going to start preparing it to have the brackets mounted onto the evaporator core. So let me go track those brackets down, see kind of the orientation of them, and we'll start getting those things bolted on. All right, so for what I can tell, the bracket that's shaped like this, I haven't moved this evaporator at all. It's gonna line up right here for mounting. There's 4 screw holes. I'm gonna have to track those down. 4 number 10 by 5/8 screws. And they're just actual screws. So I'm also gonna have to track down with my Phillips bit. God knows where I left that between drilling 100 times. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this guy mounted on. And this is our actual firewall mounting bracket. So this is going to support the case up against the firewall and kind of hold everything up there. So hopefully it's heavy duty enough where it don't just fall off. All right, so dug around long enough in my toolbox, and I have number 10 by 3/4. Oh, one of those the wrong side. Dang it. Let me go back and grab it. All right, so I'm back now. And I'm just eyeballing, making sure the 3/4 inch isn't going to be too long. It looks fine. It called for number 10 5/8. I don't have those, and there are none in the kit. So no zip ties, no number 10 and 5/8. Y'all guys are keeping track for what has not showed up in the kit. So I just got those started. I'm gonna flip it around, do the bottom side. Don't want to smoke it down to where it's too tight, where I can't manipulate it, line the screw holes up. So just get these started by hand. Now we can actually tighten these down. Good there. We're good there. All right, so we're tight, golden. Move on to the next step. So we got it. And then we need 2 1/2 inch by 20 full threaded studs halfway into the mounting holes onto the evaporator firewall bracket. So that's these holes here have actual like welded on threaded parts that will accept these studs that come. So you want to thread these guys in halfway, and they are set up for Allens, and it look like we're going to need to get them. I don't know if it's the coating or what, but yeah, these things are going to be super tight going through here. Maybe if I can thread them in from the other side. Nah. Nope. Neither way. But you guys see where to put these. I'm going to go ahead. This is just, I think, even like a temporary thing. I think you actually put a bolt in to hold this when it's all said and done. But these are kind of like line-up marks. All right. Well, I'm going to go grab the right Allen for this, get those tightened up. All right, so now we're flipped around. You're going to want to find these rubber well nuts. And these guys go in your holes back here. Just slide them in. Shouldn't take much effort. You're going to want to locate your 1-inch screws. And that's what's going to hold on this bracket right here. So this guy right here, boom, on. You thread it through the well nut. So I'll go ahead, get these guys tightened up. And I'll hit them with the wrench here in a second. But yeah, get this put on, and we'll move on to the next step. But man, we're getting close to hanging this thing inside the car. I'm excited to be done with this. But yeah, go ahead and get that tightened up. All right, so we flipped the evaporator around a little bit here, and it's wanting us to install this dash plenum next. And it uses 4 of these. They're called spring clips. So don't get confused with the S clips that you were using earlier to install the ducts to your dash louvers. So this guy slides on. It's a tight fit. And then it looks like up top where they have these squares or triangle looking things. I guess it's more shaped like a house. But that's where your spring clips are going to ride. So you're going to hook those in, hook it to the evaporator core, another step down. All right, so your floor plenum is going to go on next. And from what I can tell, looks like this thing rides. Yeah, there we go. Right there. Bang. So that's going to be for your floor vents. 2 S-clips going in. Let me see. Might have to hook this one that direction. And you hear like a real positive engagement on these things when you get them. So you'll know. Bam. And then we need to flip it around. We got one last plenum that we're going to install. I'm trying to see exactly the orientation this one needs to go because it fits. It looks like either way. The pictures have these going sideways. That's why I'm kind of twisting them around just to see if is it going to make a difference if we have them either way. It doesn't look like it. So I think I'm just going to kind of make an educated guess that it ain't going to matter. So just go ahead and clip it on. Not going to lie, I'm kind of a fan of these spring clips. Makes everything a little bit easier having to screw everything on. Damn. All right. So all our plenums are assembled. And then it looks like we're going to move on to routing wiring through this guy and through. I wonder why they would do that. Well, let me look because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you need to kind of route this while it's in the car. I don't know if you would do it outside the car, but I'm going to at least route it through this guy. We can route it through this part later once we get it mounted in the car and pulled through. Kind of doesn't make sense, but I'm going to go ahead and start. It's looking like you're going to need to locate the heater control valve plug on the main wiring harness, white, yellow, purple. Route it through the 7/8 wiring grommet, which is this guy, the small one, on the kick panel, and into the kick panel opening, then through the wiring grommet on the fresh air cap and into the engine compartment. So they're wanting you to do it in the car. So I'll go find everything, start routing the stuff, and kind of just loosely set it in there. So let me go ahead and locate the white, yellow, purple wires and start routing that stuff through here. All right, so we're on to the main harness. So white, yellow, purple plug, and just make sure it plugs into your heater control valve that you got. And we will route this guy through. Oh, man, stuff's going to be not fun getting through here. But kind of wish people would just make these wiring grommets just a hair larger than they need to be. That'd be nice. All right, I'm going to get this wrestled through. Remember, this is white, purple, yellow. And then we'll move on to the next wires we got to wrestle through. Well, if y'all can hear me, there's a train going by, but you're going to want to locate your red and white and your blue on your main harness. Feed it through the same hole. So I'll go ahead and do these guys one at a time, just so I'm not getting everything crossed. We'll do the blue first. Get it pulled through. Just kind of one of those things. It's weird doing it before you hook anything else up because you don't know exactly how much to pull through before you need to pull something back and connect it. I don't know. I'll just kind of run it where I got a decent amount of slack, a few feet on the inside where I can move the wires around. So now the red and white, and we'll just keep on chugging until we go to the next wires we got to feed through this tiny hole. All right, looks like we need to put some wires off this other harness. They don't have a name for this harness. So it's just the one that was attached to the evaporator module. So we're going to route these wires, and then we're going to go inside the car. I'm going to take this guy, set it on the floor, and we're going to start working from there. So they want the white and orange go through there. And on there, I did read closer. It said to leave about 16 inches of wire to be like on the inside of the car going towards the relay. I got more than enough wire to cover that. So we're good on that front, but it's a good rule of thumb. Just leave a couple feet. You can kind of adjust as necessary depending on your application. Man, they put about 10 pounds of poo in a 5-pound hole here, but it's working somehow. We got all these wires running through this one hole. And then we got to do it again on that other panel that we mount, under the hood. So just get ready for that also. So we got all these wires ran. Let's move to the inside of the car. I'm going to set this guy kind of roughly, just in the floor. And then we're going to, I guess, start having to look and see where all these wires go. All right, guys, and be honest with you. I just looked through all the piping or the hoses and everything that I had to feed through here. Just realized the AC lines. So one of them is a complete line. It has all the fittings and everything on it. The other two, I'm gonna have to take them to a shop to get them crimped. I did not know that when I bought it. And I'm gonna go through because this is a different hose kit than what originally was shipped to me. I want to look at the directions and make sure that was actually in there, because I don't remember this kit having a requirement for using a crimp tool. I don't have that, and they're expensive. So I'm going to go either to a hydraulic shop or an AC shop and get those made. But you just need to run the line, which I did, and you got to hold it up and make sure that the fittings and the hoses are going to be in correct orientation so they're not kinked or twisted. So you got to do that for sure, 100%. Let's see if I can get... Woo. Once it started going, it went. Ooh. There ain't a whole lot of wiggle room. And you cannot mount this. So I have to get the lines made. Just realize you cannot mount this guy up here, using the locating tabs and everything, because I still have the fresh air door off over here. So I'm going to have to keep running lines through. Well, I guess I technically could. It's just going to make it a lot harder to kind of figure out what I'm doing. So, yeah, I guess I could mount this thing. Go ahead and mount it, and I'll be able to snake everything through. So I guess I'll drop this, mount this door, go ahead and feed everything through that I think needs to go through. Not even 100% sure on that. I do have just like a white wire just kind of hanging that's in that yellow purple. I don't know how far out that actually needs to go. Good question. But yeah, let's take this thing back down and mount this door, and then I'll hang it back up here and mount it again. Well, guys, this is par for the course what I've been dealing with this kit. So you see the plug there, that's for this guy, and it's so close to the barrel of the fan here it won't plug in. Look at that. So I don't know if I got to release the fan here or what. And in the last video, this is 2 days later, I'm back on this thing. So what has happened? So again, remember guys, I was sent wrong compressor brackets, wrong piping kit. And the piping kit I received had all terminated ends originally. Everything was laid out. This kit that they sent me for a custom Pontiac, even though I have factory Oldsmobile 403 in it, I had to find a place that was willing to crimp these ends. This is a special smaller size AC line that literally no place has the crimps for. So unless you want to buy the tool that does it for $600, I don't know. You need to double check and make sure they're sending you a piping kit with terminated ends or crimped ends, because it took me an entire day of my life to find a place that would do this. So my recommendation to you, make sure whatever kit you're getting from Vintage Air, the ends are terminated. And I hope, as I was wrestling this thing all around, I hope I got these connections put in the right direction. I think I'm good on both of them that I had to do. But man, this has been a nightmare install. I would just say kit quality, low. C. I'm giving these guys a C. Hopefully this thing functions really well, or Vintage Air is in trouble. Let me see what I got to do to take this fan off and make this thing actually fit where it's supposed to go. Well, I just had to pry on it. Just pry and pray that none of this plastic breaks. So that is how tight of a fit it is, guys, once you have this thing in. Like, it don't got any kind of give. I'm just about done with this thing, but I'm going to sit the evaporator in place here, connect upper heater hose, lower heater hose, then the small AC line, the large AC line. So all that is ran through these grommets over here with your fresh air door. And you know how earlier in the video I said, install the grommets, don't even bother. The grommets, every time you push one of these lines through, they're just going to push out. So you're better off leaving them out, putting your hose through, and then snaking the grommet over the hose, and then trying to pry it back in place, because it's a nightmare. It won't fit. And honestly, I say I spent a quarter of my time so far messing with this kit, just getting those grommets back in place, because it's not easy. It's incredibly time consuming and not easy to do. So again, get ready to wrestle with all of that. All right, quick status update, guys. So we got the big, I think it's a 10 and then a 6 hose ran through the grommet. Got the bracket secured up here. She's as level as she's gonna be. And the studs are still sticking through the firewall. The 2 holes, they're lined up, studs in there. You need to go on the other side, back those out, put a screw in, and all your wiring goes through your grommet here. So what you're gonna have left over, interior wiring that you're gonna have to do, is this purple wire. So don't pay attention to the other wire. You just need to find a switched 12-volt ignition source for the purple wire, and you're good. That's it. Everything else on the inside is plug and play. This port here on the ECU will be for the controller. So we can plug that in, use the controller. We don't have to have the dash in necessarily. We can at least check the function of the ECU, the compressor, if we can charge the system, see if we got any leaks. But we got all that. There's a ground wire down here in the corner that I used that goes to the heater control valve. Right now I just got the relay kind of tucked up in there. Don't know if there's anything else inside here that I need to catch you up on. Got the heater hose ran. Got our connections here on the top of the compressor. We got the discharge, the suction. The suction, on mine at least, I ran it up over this hood brace. We should be fine. If there's any issues, honestly, I'll just delete the hood brace. But we should clear, no issues there. We need to kind of clean everything up, zip tie everything. Your blue wire that runs through here, you got to run it up to your switch on your condenser. And then from the condenser switch, you run another blue wire back over to here. And that's what plugs in to your black compressor wire. And then all that's left to do is you've got orange, white, and red. You got 2 whites, an orange, and a red. So the heavy orange and the red wire, I'm going to run directly to the battery. The 2 white wires, I'm going to dead end them somewhere up here on the firewall. I have all my grounds kind of looped together. So it'll be essentially the same thing as connecting directly to the battery. I just won't have, more wires running all the way across the firewall. But I'm going to get those ran, get everything kind of cleaned up and zip tied, and then we'll just keep plugging along. I mean, we're getting close to at least attempting to try it, but that's kind of the update. Put the radiator in, the fan. I was going to change the thermostat housing. So all that stuff I'm going to do off camera, get it prepared to at least run. And this is, you can see the belt orientation. So I ended up with like a 59, a little over a 59 belt. And that kind of put me in the middle of adjustment for the compressor. And you can see I don't have the water pump pulley tight or anything yet, but this was just so I could kind of eyeball it. The compressor still needs to be totally locked down, but it uses that front groove and then the back groove of the crank and the water pump. So that's it. So we're going to keep plugging along and getting through this thing. One day I'll be done. All right, so all we got to do on the inside is put the head unit in. Got everything else ran. And I'm currently filling up the cooling system with coolant. I'm going to get that kind of dialed in. I got the charge pipe hooked up here. Got all our blue lines ran, zip tied out of the way, all our wiring zip tied, kind of cleaned up. All right, just remove that stud from the carb. I kind of don't trust that thing being multiple pieces, and when I'm starting it, it just dropping down on inside. And I got my old ground put back, and I just went ahead and ran the wires over to the battery. Everything's so twisted up for me to sit there and untwist everything. It's quicker to just run it like they have it. And I'm going to be looking when I close the hood to make sure this guy doesn't hit on this support. I might just delete the support. I don't even have it for the other side, so I don't think it's really doing anything. But we're at least hooked up. I'm going to start the car, get the thermostat to open, check for leaks, and check for fires, because we wired up a whole bunch of new stuff. And yeah, we're gonna get this thing bled and all the air pockets out of the system. There was a 195 thermostat in this thing, so it ran pretty warm, and that's why. I mean, I think these cars need a little help. They don't need any help getting up to 195, I can tell you that. But I'm gonna go ahead, get the battery connected, get all the wiring on the inside just plugged in, because everything while I was doing my wiring, I just pulled to make sure there's no shorts or anything like that while I'm doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead, get all that stuff plugged in, and we'll at least start the bleeding procedure here on the car. Well, she's running. And y'all can see the coolant out there. We're gonna wait for that thermostat to open and it suck all that coolant down. I'm gonna get this thing to operating temperature and then we'll test the old vintage air. Still just cooking away. She'll open up soon. Then we'll get to hit the AC. We're gonna be living the cold life dream all the way to Tucson. Oh man, don't blow over. Come on, open up thermostat. I know you can do it. Oh, now I'm just making a mess. Ah, every time. I think it's about to open. This is normally what happens. You get like a rush of air and then it'll suck down. There we go, there we go. Ah! Oh! That ain't all, folks. There's gotta be more. Oh, it's going up and down. Come on now. Oh, come on. It's killing me. There we go. And that's how it happens. That's why you have to have this, folks. Now I gotta get some more coolant in it before it sucks it dry. So even though it's gonna be a mess, you just gotta sit here and just let it eat all them bubbles out. Just keep the liquid in there and the air will come to the top. Just keep on going. I might be here a little while. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's turning. But I might kill myself. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the temp on the engine just to make sure we're kind of running at least a reasonable temp. 185, that's great. That's about what I'd expect with this thermostat and the AC running. So we're good. No leaks, everything's good. Oh wow. It'll dry. Well, as y'all can see, the whole shop's a mess. So as I was bleeding everything, when I turned the car off, shot up, shot sideways, and sprayed everything in this general area. So, fun. Well, folks, that's gonna be it for this episode on the old Transient Am vintage air install. I mean, I got it pretty much in there. You could technically drive the car the way it is and just have it blow out the pieces of plastic at you. It worked, but I need to get the whole dash in and a bunch of stuff kind of dialed in. But this is the meat and potatoes of installing the system. Essentially, all I got to do is hook the ducting up and hang that head unit in a place, well, the place where the original one was. It took 2 and a little over 2 cans of Freon. It's blowing cold. It's like in the 40s when you shoot it with the temp gun. So I think that's good. I have to look at the paperwork to see what you're looking for. But the motor, it's getting a little warm even with the 160 thermostat. I'm going to have to that's one of my next steps is installing the dual electric fans. We got to put the shroud back on, make sure everything clears. That will pretty much button up, you know, the mechanical part. Got to put the inner fender liner back on. And I think, you know, put the old ram air hood or whatever it is, the shaker hood back on. And man, that's about as much under the hood as I'm going to do before duct tape drags. I mean, we got power steering, power brakes, AC. That's all I need. I can get all the way to Tucson and back with all those things. Sounds great. But I got to work on completely cleaning out the interior, doing all the sound deadening, carpet. Front two seats are getting reupholstered, headliner, and just cleaning all the plastics. I'm not going to paint any of that stuff, just clean it. I kind of like the aged look. I want it to stay that way. New visors. And man, I think, and then windshield, I'm going to do windshield wipers and the washer pump. We'll see. Who knows what the linkages and bushings and all that crap look like. And who knows if you can get any of that stuff, but I'm going to attempt it. And then we're pretty set. I'm going to drive this thing around. If I don't like, the windshield's kind of hazy. It's just old. I think you could clean it up, but I got a windshield guy that'll just come to my house and put them in. Probably going to call him and just get a new windshield. Go to my buddy that does tint. We're going to tint the whole thing all the way around since we're going to Arizona. But man, I appreciate everyone for watching this video. And as you're watching this video, Full Blast Garage has been monetized with YouTube. So I want to thank everyone for every second that you watched any of my videos. This is making my family's dream come true of us, you know, kind of just having content channels, doing this type of stuff. But I want to thank everyone again. And man, until you see me again, just go out, do something that makes you happy, but do it on full blast. Like bleeding your cooling system, letting it turn sideways and shoot all the way across your shop. Do that. I'll see y'all later.